Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. You know what I'm going to say? There's nothing more important than to be in communication with the God Spirit at the very center of your soul. We have this incredible energy made in the image and likeness of God, and may this day you come forward fully with this energy. Also, perhaps you read the newspaper ad this morning, you would have got around 7 o'clock. The newspaper ad talking about us being in the likeness of God. So very important for us to ascend into a higher sense of self, knowing that we are in this image and likeness of God and living accordingly. Please take the time to view the newspaper ad from the email, as well as acknowledge that presence within you, and hopefully live the message we're going to share this morning. Let's begin. My dear friends, it's quite obvious that last week's teaching on oneness has struck a high resonant chord in so many of you. This focus on oneness is really the pressing issue of everyday modern life. It's a pressing issue within families, certainly within society, among nations and religions, and most of all, of course, within yourself. The complexity of the issue is quite apparent and has necessitated this second teaching today. Thus, I will begin with a brief review from last week's teaching and then proceed to the fifth step of my five-step process in dealing with oneness, introduce a new Course in Miracles teaching, and then proceed to the introduction of two new principles that are important as a basis for understanding the foundations of oneness. It sounds like a lot, and it is. I encourage you to take some notes. The title of today's teaching is Who Made You One? Part 2. So let's begin with a brief review of the three salient points from last week's teaching. First, the basic and practical teaching of oneness from A Course in Miracles, Chapter 11, Section 3, Paragraph 7, Lines 8 and 9. You cannot enter God's presence with dark companions beside you, but you also cannot enter alone. All your brothers and sisters must enter with you, for until you have accepted them, you cannot enter. Powerful, powerful, and truthful words. Secondly, the example of Jesus in the meaning of the crucifixion, chapter 6, section 1, when he said, the meaning of the crucifixion is that no one lies outside of the kingdom of God, even those who might be crucifying you. Again, powerful, powerful, and truthful words. And the third review point, my five-step plan in dealing with oneness, moving from steps 1 and 2 on tolerating and accepting others to steps 3 and 4, understanding and respecting others, not only as human beings, but also as members of our one spiritual family. With this review, we are now ready for step 5 and the accompanying teaching from the Course. Step 5 is not to break your energetic unity with the other. Not to break your energetic unity with the other. The question obviously arises, well, what do you mean by energetic unity with the other? It's a good question, and hopefully this will be a good answer. I guarantee you it will challenge you, but also it'll help to change you. The answer has two parts, followed by another teaching from the Course. The first part is what it does not mean. Not breaking the energetic unity with the other, what it does not mean. It does not mean that you have to embrace or hug the other. It does not mean that you become a doormat for the other and let them take advantage of you. It does not mean that you have to address them, either verbally or any other means. And it does not mean that you forgive the other, because quite frankly, there isn't anything to forgive. You have simply had an experience that has been helpful to you for your growth. And hopefully it does not mean that you still harbor any negative thoughts about the other. Okay, I get it, Vince. So what does it mean? Well, it means two things. First, that you do understand and respect the other. We've taken that already. And secondly, and here's the challenge. It's really a big challenge. Not just that you understand and respect the other, but not to break the energetic unity means that you feel one with the other. That you feel one with the other. That, despite what the personality self is doing, you feel one with the other. That they no longer are dark companions. Now let's be clear. You cannot fake oneness. You cannot pretend oneness. You can only feel oneness or not. This is quite a challenge. To feel oneness with someone who has been irritating to you. Fortunately, to assist you, the Course in Miracles offers a very solid spiritual teaching. This teaching is at the center of oneness, and it is the basis of all relationships in A Course in Miracles. The spiritual teaching is called the Holy Encounter. The Holy Encounter. In a nutshell, the Holy Encounter means to see all of your others, everyone else with whom you deal, to encounter everyone with a Holy Spirit within yourself, to encounter everyone as a holy encounter, which depends clearly on how you see the other, which then depends on how you see yourself. To have a holy encounter with another depends truly on how you see the other, but that really does depend on how you see yourself. We have spent enough time on how you might view the other person who has been an irritation to you. So now let's proceed to your part in the holy encounter, how you see yourself. Now, I think you know exactly what I'm going to say. How you encounter another depends on how you encounter yourself. To encounter another depends on how you see yourself. You clearly understand that if you are not in your spiritual center, your encounter with the other will be much less than holy. Not so much simply on the outside of you, but rather from the inside within you. They will still be a dark companion, and they will rob you of that presence of the God Spirit within you. So it becomes quite clear that just like everything else, the holy encounter depends on how you see yourself and whether or not you're practicing our 7 daily spiritual practices, which determine how you see yourself from your spiritual center. Now you know this, but here's the encouragement I want to give to you. As, not if, as you do your daily spiritual practices, you will change from the inside. Your critical head will not be quite so judgmental, and the hardness of a resentful heart will begin to soften until, as you work at this, you are one with the God Spirit at the very center of your being. When you are one with the God Spirit at the center of your being, then the miracle happens. As your heart is softened with the God Spirit, the feeling of oneness with the other is possible. Not from your personality self, but from the center of your soul. You see, it has to be soul to soul, not personality self to personality self, not behavior to behavior. It's never going to work. It has to be from soul to soul. This is the essence of oneness, to see the other as you see yourself, to love the other as you love yourself. It clearly reflects the wonderful teaching of Jesus when he counsels us to love our neighbor as ourselves. It's the only way, and rest assured it is the way. But it isn't easy to feel one with someone who has irritated you. Yet, like all the other spiritual teachings, put the energy of oneness to the test. Start with yourself. Be centered in your God Spirit. And then look not at the personality self of the other, nor look at their behavior, but rather see them from their spiritual center. Remember the words of Jesus in the crucifixion: no one lies outside of the kingdom. This takes a lot of work on our part. And yet, when you live this way, you begin to truly see what happens. And when you see the results, that you can feel one with others, that there is no dark companion anymore, then you know that you're pretty much arriving at a sense of oneness. A nice concluding remark on this section of oneness is an acronym which is in fashion today: FOMO. FOMO. F-O-M-O. Third dimensionally, it stands for fear of missing out. I think that probably many of you are acquainted with this, but I would suggest you want to change FOMO and give it a new meaning. Rather than fear of missing out, try this meaning: focus on manifesting oneness. Focus on manifesting oneness. Such a difference occurs when we stop focusing on the fear of missing out and focus on manifesting oneness. Now, Having presented my 5-step program in dealing with oneness, we are now ready to address 2 additional teachings that underpin oneness. And without these 2 teachings, too many problems arise. I really want you to understand how these principles support oneness. Take some notes if you need to. The first supplemental teaching has to do with the idea of reincarnation. Please listen carefully. The whole notion of reincarnation is to understand who is having the present experience of the personality self. Who is having the experience of your personality self? The vast majority of people think that, well, your personality self is your identity, and your personality self is having the experience of your personality self. Thus, when your personality self ends, well, that's the end of your earthly experience. That as such, it raises so many questions, such as, why is one person seemingly born so lucky with a silver spoon in their mouth, and the other is born into a poor family, barely able to make a living? Or why does one family seem to have one tragedy after another, such as addictions and cancers and premature deaths, and another family just seems to sail through life with long health and material comforts? Or even worse yet, some may ask, well, does God play favorites, seemingly blessing one person and seemingly punishing another? All of these scenarios, and they're legitimate scenarios, point to the more basic question, again, of reincarnation. Who is being reincarnated? It is not your personality self that is being reincarnated. It is your soul that is being reincarnated. The word reincarnation gives a clear meaning to this point. The word itself means to be again in the flesh. Again, incarnation in the flesh. To be again in the flesh. Obviously, it does not mean your personality self is again in the flesh. There is only one personality self that is born and then physically passes. Thus, it is quite clear that the word reincarnation, again in the flesh, is not pointing to your personality self, which is one and done, but rather to the larger identity of your soul. It is your soul that reincarnates, not your personality self. It is your soul that is again in the flesh, but now with a new personality self. Thus it becomes quite clear that it is the soul. It is the soul that is having the experience of successive personality selves. I'll say that again. It is the soul that has the experience of successive personality selves, and that each experience of the personality self adds to the wisdom experience of the soul. Each experience of your personality self adds to the wisdom of the experience of the soul. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense that the soul cannot experience itself in just one lifetime. You can't be both male and female in one lifetime. You can't be racially different in just one lifetime. You can't be raised in different historical and cultural periods in one lifetime. You can't live to a ripe old age and then have an untimely death in one lifetime. You can't be addicted with a lot of difficult problems with rock bottom addictions in just one lifetime. It is the soul that is having a series of human experiences in this space-time planet of our Earth. It is the soul that is having these experiences in our space-time planet of the Earth. Thus, never think that anyone is a poor soul. There's no such thing as a poor soul. It's having a rich experience. It is having a rich experience. Every soul is truly an abundant soul, having a wonderful experience of the human condition, learning to experience all that it can until it finally decides to leave this earth plane. Don't get lost in thinking that your personality self is just one and done. Your personality self right now is really, your personality self right now is really your soul self appearing as your personality self, gaining, hopefully, wisdom from your experience. A couple of other comments. Experiences such as a déjà vu experience. The words déjà vu is a French phrase that means already seen. This déjà vu experience often affirms the idea that you know something that was seen in another lifetime. The second expression of reincarnation is the experience of past life regressions, wherein one identifies with a past life identity, which gives meaning to one's present life. And lastly, it is estimated that a soul has anywhere between 800 and 1200 incarnations on the earth plane. You, as a soul, have been here a long time, but fortunately, the soul does not age. We are now ready for the second structural principle that underlies oneness. This second structural principle is based again on the idea of who is having the personality experience from a different perspective. This second principle is the difference of seeing things only from a third-dimensional personality self, as opposed to learning to see things from a fifth-dimensional soul viewpoint. When one sees things from a third-dimensional viewpoint, which is how the majority of people presently still seem to view their lives, they see things with only a present personality self-identity, and thus only with a lower third-dimensional morality. Thus you have the distinctions of right and wrong, good and bad, happy and sad, uplifting or tragic. This explains why so many people are crushed when they are engaged in an unhappy life situation, such as poverty or illness or loss, and finally death. Again, the problem is simply identifying with the personality self's predicament. The problem is identifying with your personality self's predicament rather than seeing it from your soul. Things are different when viewed from the fifth dimensional aspect of your soul. In the fifth dimension, which you can have right now, many of us are experiencing, one views their experience as an eternal soul spirit who has not left their source, and they live by the qualities of oneness and love, and realize that their present incarnation as a personality self is simply one experience among many. It's simply one experience among many. And if there are good times now, there were probably difficult times in the past or in the future. To get the fullness of the experience of good times and difficult times, two different experiences. Or if things are difficult now, there will probably be good times in the future or were good times in your past to have both experiences. Everything is a soul experience that enriches your present human experience. We stand on the shoulders of the past incarnations of our soul. Do you get that? Your present life is standing on the shoulders of the past incarnations of your soul. Such a vision gives much better understanding to the idea of baby souls, young souls, mature souls, and old souls. As you can clearly see, this notion of oneness is quite complex. In addition to my 5-step personal guide, one also needs to have a larger view of the principles of reincarnation in a fifth dimensional understanding of life. It is complex. In conclusion, the quality of oneness presented in A Course of Miracles is quite a challenge. Yet I feel until we master its practical applications and larger supportive principles, we will struggle. We will struggle with life. Rest assured that this is one of the goals of Now Creations, to help you to see clearly both the challenges and yet the beauty of oneness. Lastly, I still like the idea that we enter heaven 2 by 2. I like that idea. We enter heaven 2 by 2. This speaks to me. And it summarizes nicely the whole idea of the holy encounter. And it will be the basis of walking together with others in the future. But not just as a future reward in some heavenly place, but our present reality right here on our wonderful Mother Earth. We're quite capable, and we're going to encourage each other to do so. Let me now take you into meditation, and truly, what a joy it is to do so. Let's begin as we normally do. Just focusing on the breath and allowing the breath just to settle you, just to settle you. This notion of oneness sounds great. People love to espouse it. But then they get irritated at someone who seems to challenge them or be a source of difficulty for them. And then they are one with everyone except that one. And then those two, you get the picture. So the goal is certainly to move from tolerating, accepting, to understanding and respecting. And then that fifth step, not breaking the energetic unity. Like, it doesn't mean you have to go and hug them. It just means that you have to not harbor negative thoughts about them. If you do, they become dark companions. And you know what a struggle it is to get over the resentments. You would rather forgive them. Well, I forgive them. Well, forgiveness is third dimensional stuff. You're still denoting some sense of moral superiority. You got to get to the fifth dimension. It really boils down to, how do you feel towards the other? That's why that example of Jesus is just amazing. It's not just that many people don't know what they're doing, but he was able to raise us to the point of understanding that everyone is part of the family, no exceptions. Now, don't go on a guilt trip with this. Don't go on a guilt trip with this, but rather work to expand yourself. Work to expand yourself. Looking beyond the personality, self, and behavior of the other. Not trying to see the Christ in the other until you've observed the Christ within yourself. The holy encounter with another begins with the holy encounter of yourself. Got to start there first. Do not fall into the trap of what a lot of third dimensional people fall into. This notion that, well, nobody understands me. Nobody sees it from my vantage point. That poor me attitude will not get you anywhere. On the other hand, oh, that poor soul. There are no poor souls. Don't get lost in the experience of another. This is why reincarnation can be quite helpful. If you look at a person's life and think that they are only their personality self, and let's just say they have an untimely death, the tragedy would be if that's all there was to their life, just one lifetime through. And it ends tragically, such as the children recently in Minneapolis. That would be a tragedy. If you see life only from the third dimension, that would be a tragedy. These supplemental principles of reincarnation and fifth dimensional views of life are the things we need to understand. If not, even your own life will become a tragedy. And quite frankly, it's an exhilarating experience to be able to realize that our present life, filled with such an abundance, is a result of the many past lives on whose shoulders we stand. You have to know the truth in order for it to set you free. Get bigger in your perspective, see a little more, and then draw your own conclusions. Make sense of your life. Okay, in this energy, let me call you back to your breath. Nice, easy breathing again. And know that all of us together right now, we're all in oneness. We're all in oneness right now. And notice how good that feels. And know that we're going to keep on supporting each other, encouraging each other. And as you open your eyes, just feel that affirmation moving within you. I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.